Megan and I are about to do the Asian Sensations podcast. Before, she was just saying, and this is rightfully so. So it's Monday. It's August 5th. And Megan's like, hey, we should get a theme song. Totally right. And so I was just telling her, there's this guy that I'd met through Instagram, and he'd done drum beats. So every day he would do a different drum thing. And so then he sent me over some beats. And it's cool. So I put it into my vlog. But I was like, this doesn't go with the theme, you know? Like, it's just weird how this, and it's like, yo, what's up? It's Sherm, the Crazy Asian. Just Crazy Asian has a tendency to be more like rap. So it's like having country music. It just didn't make sense. Okay. So we're going to jump in. We just brainstormed a little bit. I'll put that in here. Give them the journey. Or do you just want to go straight dreamcasting? Do you like, this is Sherm, Crazy Asian?
No, we can talk about. I think sometimes we can journey through.
Let's journey through the thought process. Okay. Hello, everybody. Sherm here.
This is Megan, and we are double podcasting today on the Asian Sensations podcast and also the Crazy Asian podcast.
Yeah, thanks for that shameless plug there.
You are welcome. Well, we're like dueling this right now, so I figured we need to let the listeners know why there's a lot of different intros happening.
I guess as well, then I should put out there that if I get sponsored money on this episode, I guess I should slip you back some few shekels.
Please give me some pennies for my efforts.
Well, before we jump in any further, let's hear a word from our sponsor. I'm going to move this, Megan, because I'm cutting myself off. I'm cutting you off. All you get is like a small little headshot.
It's okay. It's a pretty big head.
Alrighty, so here you go. Intro to. Did you see that it now has like you can put like seasons and episodes?
No.
Yeah. So remember how like you have like keywords?
Why is it failing the process?
Are you on the Wi-Fi?
Yes. But I always do it on the
Wi-Fi. Oh, yeah, do you? Okay. The Wi-Fi is a little slow. I'm not on the Wi-Fi. So that's the way. That way, our local organization won't know what I'm doing.
Now it won't let me. Oh, here we go. Let's get it popping. Let's go.
There we go.
Hey, ho, let's go.
Boo, 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 boo.
Wait, yours also says it's failed to process.
Oh, you're right on.
Are they like not working today?
Uh-oh. That's not good. I don't know how else to record if it's not.
Hold on there. What is that? Ah, here we go. I got it. You just gotta try again.
This is Megan.
If at first you don't succeed,
Keep doing it again.
try again.
Oh, you're right. There it is.
Yeah, you just have to
Keep pressing the button. When in doubt, keep pressing the button. Okay.
finger tap.
Ready to go? All right, so I want to give you a little bit of a background. Megan and I were just brainstorming because we want to be able to make sure that the topics that we talk about, people enjoy, right? Or at least
At least we enjoy.
at least we enjoy talking about it, right? And so when we first started this journey in doing some podcasting together, we brainstormed a bunch of different ideas out there, and whatever kind of fit our fancy, we're like, let's do it.
Yes.
And so today, the one that came to mind that we're like, let's talk about this one is dreamcasting and vision boarding, brain dumping. It's kind of like the idea.
Yeah. So I think we started having a conversation, so we figured we'd let people listen in on our conversation, because that's what we do all of the time on this podcast. It's the ramblings of Megan and Sherm is what it's titled.
Exactly.
That's the description of our podcast. So yeah, I guess let's start off with yourself.
Yeah, so recently I moved, and so I was telling Megan over the weekend we were going through all the boxes, right, and putting them on the bookshelf, and I found one that I had bought from Target a few years back, and it just has a big number 5, and it says, "Where will you be?" ? And so it's really cool because it has some different quotes in there. It has some different stories about how people went from zero, from like just start, and in 5 years totally transformed their life. Julia Childs went from like nowhere, and then in 5 years was like an award-winning
The Emmy award-winning
for TV on
TV chef.
Yeah, and then like Jeff Bezos went from like in his garage to, I think they had like $1 billion in sales or something like that or something.
Yeah.
Right, and I think the same thing was for like the Home Depot.
Home Depot people, which I didn't even know the story behind Home Depot.
And I know it. I didn't know it happened that fast. Like $1 billion. That's a lot of money in 5 years.
But they were like home improvement people. So
Yeah.
what were they doing before Home Depot existed? Like where were people going to buy their home supplies?
And I think that's the frustration, right? Is then that kind of came about, right? It came about. Maybe they're going to too many stores and they're like, dude, we just need one place we go to for like wood and hardware.
That's true.
Stuff.
That's actually kind of funny because that's the analogy that I use in interviews about like what we do in financial servicing.
Mm-hmm.
I always compare Home Depot to Target. And I
Yeah.
say, Home Depot, you can only get, your hardware and your supplies, but at Super Target, you can get it all, and it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So I'm like doing the opposite of what you just said.
Yeah.
I guess because it makes sense for what you're in the market for.
Yeah, like a lot of times if I'm in construction, I'm not looking to do my grocery shopping at the same time, right?
Correct. I should know that because my dad does custom homes.
Yeah.
And he lives at Home Depot
Yeah.
and Lowe's.
They know my name when he walks in.
They really do. He has his own account, pretty much.
So the interesting thing about this is I started going through and I was telling you that I was struggling Saturday night falling asleep because I had all these thoughts going on in my mind of what I wanted to accomplish or wanted to at least have a go at and try and see. And that's the thing about like some of the things that you and I might pursue is that they might not work out. And that's totally okay, right? Like I decided to stop one thing and start another. It's totally okay to do that. But I was telling you, I couldn't fall asleep until like 3 a.m.
Yeah, but I think that's when I kind of said about how my friend talked about like brain dumping on Instagram, and so that kind of brought about how I had said I think that I need to keep like a journal next to like so many people do that. They like you'll journal out like everything that comes to your mind and stuff. But I think that we should because just like vision boarding. I think we get so consumed with everyday life and, things derail us. Like I could be like, hey, my goal today is that I'm going to, go and run. Just kidding. I'm not going to run.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be more realistic. So it's going to be like today I'm going to cycle for 30 minutes and then I'm going to, lift for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. But something could happen on my way home. I could like get a flat tire. I could something's not working in my apartment and it just derails us.
Yes.
And I think that's where vision boarding or dream casting or, kind of writing out your to-do list or, whatever's in your mind is important because then you can always reference it back.
Yeah.
It's really hard to reference things back when it's just in your mind.
And what's interesting is you talk about is there's something powerful about writing it down.
Yeah, like pen to paper.
Yeah, versus if I were to like text it out or like swipe it out on my cell phone and it's stored digitally. There's just something about it being on a piece of paper, or as you mentioned, like a vision board, being able to see it as an image. It really helps us, I think, kind of create a more lasting memory.
Yeah.
So one of the things that someone had said, I was making some I am statements at this one networking event that we had, and they said that there's something about your mind being able to recall things when it's in different colors.
Yeah.
And so I got these Sharpies at like Walmart for like $3. Good deals over there. I'm saving. Is it Save More, Get Better? What is it? At Walmart, it's
something like
Save
that.
More, Live Better.
No.
Getting better?
I
am better because I shop at Walmart. Anyway, not according to some of the women that were there the other day. Walmart has they cast a weird net, right? And so there's a whole multitude of just riffraff that kind of comes through, me included. I'm sure I was in like a tank top and I'd sweat like all that morning. I was gross, but I digress. So I bought these Sharpies in different colors: red, blue, green, black. And so then as I'm writing out inside this book, the 5 years where I'm going to be. So unfortunately, podcast, you can't see this book, but just imagine it's just a 5 on the front of it. The videos and be able to see it. By the way, just so you're aware, you guys can contact us on our email if you want to get in touch with us, and we can send you any of the images or stuff, or a link to the video.
It sounded like you said you can't.
You can.
You can.
You can.
It's open. It's available.
Yeah, and just so you know, we do respond to it. Like
Yes.
like Megan and I man it. There's no like some special like virtual assistant in the
not
Philippines.
a third person in this.
I
It's
literally,
not just us.
by the way, did talk to somebody virtually on my drive home last week in the Philippines.
Well,
Being a virtual assistant.
oh.
So sorry, I literally, it wasn't a virtual conversation, it was a real conversation, but he was a virtual assistant. Crazy. So Megan and I don't employ that. We are manning that email. Just want to let you know that.
So please keep us company.
So it's this book, and I just started writing in a bunch of different things. And you know what I decided, Megan, is I'd write down even the craziest stuff out there.
Yeah, I think that's the point of vision boarding or dream casting is you should put crazy things, because I think that the way that the mind works, and I think the way that the universe works, is certain things come to you because it's supposed to, right?
Yes.
And I think that that's where it's like, I don't know. So I have this app. It's called The Pattern.
Okay.
It's very similar. It's based off of your birth chart, but the way that it's worded in there is less astrological and like more. Is that the right word? Astrological?
Yeah. I think what you mean, where it's like, hey, because the moon's here, the sun's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, it's like less about that, but it's just more about like, so it's like more focused on like the patterns of your life. And so that one I really like, because that one's, I have this other app that's pretty spot on, but this one's like even more in depth where I'm like, whoa, this is weird. Like every day it's just something weird. And so, you know, so mine today had said something along the lines of, the journey that like I'm supposed to go on in life, like I need to just do it, like without any company, you know, or without anybody else's opinions. I just need to run for it. And I thought that was kind of weird, because that was kind of the conversation that I had today.
Yeah.
I was a little frustrated with how this Monday started. And then I was just like, God, you know, like maybe this isn't it, you know, like maybe I need to finally pursue the other things that I want to do in life. And you know, but then I had a conversation with a friend about what's stopping me.
Yeah.
And then that had popped up, and it was like, whoa, that's weird. Like, you know, it should be that I should just go for it, you know, rather than sitting around. So anyway, so I say that because I think that that's the whole point of this topic that we're talking about in vision boarding and dream casting, is that I don't think any dream is too big or vision is too wide. Because if we kind of go back to the last episode that we had talked about, which were my revelations, which was when I pulled out my own vision board, and everything had then made sense at that moment, and it wasn't clear to me when I was making the vision board. I think that's like a clear indication of why you should do vision boards, or why you should brain dump and dream cast. So brain dumping apparently is, I don't know too much about it, I just saw it on an Instagram story, but I think it's that you just write down everything that you want to do or need to accomplish, like, or whatever's in your mind at that moment, just write it all out on paper. And then, you know, you can go back and check it off as you go. But I think that just ties into this whole thing of, I think our subconscious talks more to us than we realize.
Yeah. And that's really where sometimes, that's how I was feeling, is because there's so many thoughts going on in my mind, and some of it felt so like like not started. It was an incomplete thought.
Incomplete, yeah.
And so because of that, my mind just kept like twisting it. You know what I mean? Like I kept like replaying this thing over and over. And so one of the things that comes to my mind, what it was is I want my life to kind of be like Monopoly. So I want to own a hotel, Megan, just so I
did see that.
Just so I can live like on you know, break down a couple walls and just live in like the top floor or whatever.
The penthouse.
Yeah, like. And it's not a lot to ask in life, you know, from the standpoint that that's where I want to go. But so here's where I was thinking of this morning as I'm driving in. This guy comments to me. He's like, "Hey, just follow me on Instagram. It's nice to see somebody that's real on this thing." I said, "Hey, thanks. It's a super nice compliment. You know, I am a real human being. You're welcome." And he goes, "No, sorry." Then I went to look on one of his feeds, and one of his posts he had was, it's called 8 billion rungs. So it's a whole idea that if you get a ladder and you put every single person's name there on a rung, there's about 7.6, 7.4 billion people in the world. And so put the category of, let's say, entrepreneurship in there. And we could put at the top of it, let's put the guy like Warren Buffett, right? Number one dude, Jeff Bezos, right? Number one dude, wealthiest man on that. But then you kind of stack it up, and you go all the way to the very bottom rung. It's people that aren't even pursuing that, right? So you can almost take that 8 billion rung, and you can lop off a ton of people, billions of people that only want to pursue that kind of career, right? And then you look at that, and you realize that it's much smaller than you think. And so the example he used was basketball. And you put out, let's say, like a LeBron James or a Steve Curry, right? And then at the very bottom, you put the person that just started. She just entered dribbling class, right? but then, like me, I don't know about you, but I'm not pursuing basketball. Like I can't remember.
I'm way too short.
Well, and it's like of no desire to me. Even if
eye coordination.
I just don't want to do that, right? Like I'm not like, oh yeah, like let's go sign up to play in professionally.
I really hated. That was like my most hated time in PE was when they made us like shoot free pointers. Is that what it was?
Free throws.
Free throws, that's what they're called. God, people that play basketball are really going to hate me right now. Especially the person that I'm like currently kind of dating. He's going to be like, you're lying to me right now because he played basketball. I don't know what he played. But yeah, that was like.
He played sport with ball.
In hand. It's not football, but opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I hated that. But I think it was because I was so little.
Right.
And I was like, ugh.
Well, and it is. I mean, it definitely lends itself for a much taller individual.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're 6'6" and you're 6'6" and you don't play basketball,
people are looking at you odd.
Yeah, something's wrong with you. Are you that uncoordinated that you couldn't dunk? You couldn't jump like 5 inches to touch the rim? So I think that a lot of times that when we start like looking at what we're pursuing, it's a lot more manageable because if let's say you and I decide to open up our own bed and breakfast, there's really not that many people, even if we look at the 6 million people here in Houston that are running a bed and breakfast. And so our competition isn't that great. And to be honest, if we're really good at it, then that'll stick out. Like we will win by being really good. We don't need to outbeat Marriott because they're not playing the same game.
Yeah.
As a B&B, right? And so that's kind of where I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back. We don't even put the dream out there. We don't do the brain dump because we're like, if I put it out there, that means I have to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's where so many people, like even myself, kind of hold yourself back from even thinking of those bigger dreams is because we already are knocking ourselves down before we even put it out there into the universe. We're already like, well, I can't do it because I'm just, I'm this and I'm that and I don't have enough, whatever it is for whatever trade or whatever. But I think the first part of it is just putting it out there. Because, I mean, if you don't get it, because if we really kind of look at it, right, I'm sure that our vision boards from 5 years ago are not the same vision boards that we would have right now. And it's okay to have changes in your dreams and whatnot. Because I had somebody ask me the other day, because I've put more thought into, I really find joy in helping young professionals or young adults start their own businesses.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the target is young people, young adults that want more out of their careers, don't want to be in, a corporate 9-to-5 or working a desk job or retail or whatever. They want to kind of start their own thing. And, somebody had said to me, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
Helping people do entrepreneurship.
But before that, this is literally our conversations on a daily basis. So I'm talking to Sherman, and then I'll just lose my train of thought. Oh my God.
You're helping people, right?
Yes.
Oh my, I by the way, I'm the worst person to ask, to recall, conversations. I'm so in the moment of, what's coming out.
So am I, and so this is really bad.
What just happened?
This is really bad that I already lost my train of thought.
We can totally pause this and listen. That's the beauty of the podcast.
That's true, but then that's editing, and I don't want to edit. As you know, our podcasts are pretty raw.
It is
But now I know what I was talking about. Sorry about
And
that.
relaunch.
And intermission's over. So, I was talking to somebody about how, that's what my next venture is, and that's what I want to do, because I feel that I have enough of a knowledge to give that advice to other people and give them that that type of consulting in a sense, because I started my own wedding business, and then they threw at me, well, the question, will probably be, well, why did you stop it? Why would you stop doing weddings if, you were able to launch it off the ground? And I said, because you don't necessarily always have to stay in one thing. Just because and I think that's the beauty of being entrepreneurial, is that you can start one venture and then move on to something else.
Yes.
And I think that also, I think there's beauty in failure as well. It's not that my business failed. I made the conscious decision to stop it.
To shut it down.
And shut it down just because it just didn't serve me anymore the way that I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I didn't have that passion for it anymore, and I really believe in being passionate about the things that you do, because there's no reason in faking it. Like, why have a wedding coordinator that hates being there?
Yeah.
Or doesn't want to help you with your wedding, or doesn't believe in weddings, or whatever it is. You're like, that's like, I don't know.
Well, and I think that, to your point, that just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean you need to see everything to a completion of selling it off, or I had a friend that she had she sold shoes and socks. It was a true running store. So you would go in there, she would film you running, and then suggest specific shoes. Vendors would come in and tell her, these are the specific shoes that people. So these are more high end shoes. You're spending like $130, $180 on a pair of running shoes. But who was aimed at was not the occasional runner. These are aimed at people that are running half marathons, right? Triathlons, like people that
athletes
are maximizing that shoe as a tool, right? And so she had run it for about 6 or 8 years, and she just was like, I'm just tired. And so anyone that knows the game of entrepreneurship know that there is a grind, right? And there is a burnout, and ultimately, that if you're not in it, then you feel like you're not giving it what it deserves.
Yeah.
You know what it requires.
Definitely.
And so she shut that down. Her hubby has run, I think, 25 marathons. The last one he ran, you can only do this probably in Wisconsin. He ran, he tries to break different world records, like goofy ones. So he wore 28 t-shirts in his marathon. So no exaggeration. So he starts at size extra small, because he's a scrawny dude, or maybe small, and he puts in small, then mediums, then larges, then extra larges. And he said the hardest part wasn't the weight.
It was getting it off.
It was the heat.
Oh yeah.
Because at that point you're just you're just running a winter's coat.
Did he run in the dead of winter?
No, but typical Wisconsin, it's 70 degrees out, 60 degrees when you're running in the morning. But he's by the time
but even then with 28 shirts, I need to be running in 30-degree weather.
So that's her hubby. He's just super competitive with himself, and just wants to be able to overcome things. And so as you think about, as I think about when people, entrepreneurs especially, when they're done, I think that's one of the toughest things emotionally. Is number one is, what do I do next? Because that's how their mind works.
Correct.
They're on to the next thing, or they feel like they need to rationalize to themselves.
Oh yeah,
why they walked away.
I think that is something that I think you and I talked about that when we had the podcast on side hustles, and I was telling you about me ending my wedding coordinating business, and there's still no desire that calls me back to it at all. I appreciate all of the brides and the couples that I worked with, and the opportunity and all of that, but nothing calls me back to want to do another wedding in my life. It just doesn't. But I mean, you are very right. I mean, there was that moment there where I was like, was that the right choice? What can I do instead? And should I put my all into starting something else, which is, I have now realized that I have to, because that's just me. I don't feel right just being a 9-to-5er.
Yeah, and that's it's funny, because I think that clarity comes when you let some things go.
Yeah.
For
sure.
I know a lot. You and I can read about a multitude of different entrepreneurs. That's they started one thing, and then they realized not really feeling this thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go focus on something else, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I'm sure there's a million times that, I'm only gonna use like Shakespeare because I just read it in that 5 book that you just had. But I mean, I'm sure there was plenty of times that he started to write a play and was like, "This is garbage. I'm gonna throw it out."
Yeah.
And it was just the biggest ones, like Hamlet and all of that, like made the cut. But how many trials and errors did he do before that?
Yeah.
And I think so many people I think when it comes to businesses, I think so many people think, okay, you decide to go in on it, then, you have to see it through. But I think it's because so many people are focused on the perceptions of others.
Yeah. Or the outcome of, oh, you have to have like $1 billion exit or whatever that number is.
Yeah.
No, I'm done. I just shut it down,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when it comes to like these dreams that we have, the vision board, it's okay to put, let's say right now, like right now, I want a Porsche 911, but then I get married and have kids. I realize that's a completely impractical car to have.
Yeah.
That's not going to get driven very often. Yeah, like I can't put any kid in there. I can't put any golf bag in there of equivalence, significance, right? Because I'm a decently heighted person, so I get larger or normal sized golf clubs. So that made sense when I was younger to have that. But now that I'm older, that vision and those dreams need to change. And so I think you're spot on. If we rewound 5 years ago, you probably wanted to be a college grad, or were you already a college grad 5 years ago? 2014.
Yeah, I was already
summer.
a college grad.
Okay, so you just graduated.
Literally, I would be graduating on the 8th.
Okay, so you were just done. Did you have a job yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was lined up.
You were lined up. Okay, so right then it was like, okay, can I become a master at this career? Well, now you are. I mean, so you're writing the manual and helping out someone get from 0 to 1, right? Or, 0 to 60.
0 to 1. That's it. That's all I can get you to.
Here you go. Here's one booklet, buddy. And so that's really where you're like, okay, so now what's the next step. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's sometimes where we are. It's almost impossible for us to project out, to even plan what we might want. We might have some inklings here and there, like, hey, this kind of house. But let's say, for example, some company comes and says, hey, we'll do this, and it's going to be in Hawaii. You'd probably just jump right at it, right? Or it's like a sidestep. Hey, here's an opportunity here. You sidestep to get there, and then all of a sudden, then the real one comes. And it's totally fine. It's just, I think a lot of times we get scared to put down something that we don't know the answers to. We almost, in a sense, need to see the path laid ahead of us, and that's why so many people will choose like college, because they're like, oh, I get that degree, then here's the job, right? Instead of, well, what if I were to just kind of make it messy and just go at it and see what happens? Yeah,
exactly. Plus, I think that you can do vision boarding and dream casting for anything in life. I mean, you and I kind of gear everything very like professionally, but I think that's just the way that we're wired. But I mean, you could do vision boarding for your dream home, your dream relationship, but then understand that things can change, and you shouldn't be too concerned when you do derail for a little bit.
Like I think a lot of people would put a man in a suit. Well, does your man really like to wear a suit? I don't know, not everybody, I enjoy wearing a suit, but that's just me. I know a lot of people in our office that don't at all. Like the idea that they put a tie on and a jacket would just be annoying to them, frustrating.
Exactly. And I just think, I mean, if I do look back 5 years ago, I don't think I would have ever predicted where I am today. I don't think I ever would have thought that I would have done, well, for sure. I mean, if we are doing 5 years ago, I mean, I would have said yes. I could see myself as a recruiter. But even then, I took the job and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do this. And then I definitely didn't predict that I would start wedding coordinating and do that for a little bit, or decide that I really enjoyed helping people start businesses and whatnot. So it could change.
Yeah. And then it's being flexible with that change, right?
Yes,
so,
I think the biggest thing is I think people are very inflexible with themselves. Because I think it's one thing to be inflexible with others, but that's just because you're a control freak.
Yes.
Like me, I am like that. Sometimes I'm inflexible with others.
Yeah.
But I think the number one person you should be flexible with is yourself, because you are going to change and you're going to evolve over a course of not even 5 years. You could change in the course of 6 months, a month, really.
And that's where, like, there's this phrase out there that I think it's thrown at people all the time is stay in your own lane. Which meaning like, oh, Megan, you're in recruiting. You should only do recruiting. Or, oh, you did wedding planning. You should only be in wedding planning. No. Like, we all have different skills that go other places. Like we see, like Elon Musk, right? He started, was it PayPal? And he sold it off. And
Did
that
you
was
start PayPal?
It was some kind of, I thought it was PayPal. And then he sold off his shares, and that's how he started Tesla. But then he also started like Solar City, which focuses on solar power and for residential, I think maybe residential. But we don't look at that and go, oh, why is he doing that?
He stayed in his lane.
Yeah, we know that he's very entrepreneurial, he's extremely bright. So like, yeah, go do it, dude. Go have fun, right? And so I think a lot of times we look at ourselves and we go, oh, I really can't do that. Like the idea of, hey, doing some consulting or doing, helping people. No, you're in a sorority, which was extremely more event entrepreneurship, right? You ran your wedding thing, you have your side hustle, you have your full-time gig. Nobody really has to tell you what to do. They kind of give you the guidelines and here's the template, so to speak, right? But you kind of make it your own. And so I think that a lot of times it's taking those different skill sets that we have and piecing it together with what we want to do.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean that we have to do it for the next 80 years.
Yep. And then if I go back to referencing that book again, there's this equation in there that, so you do your age times, 365, because that's, a year, days in a year. And then you do it based off of like how old you think you're going to live to.
Yeah.
I chose 90, you chose 100.
Yes.
I'm not trying to live to 100.
I want to live a century, Megan, just so I can say the word. I live to a century.
Yeah. See, I just want to like make it to 90. 75, the number that they gave, 75, I was like, that's way too young.
Yeah, way too young.
Way too young. I would do to 90. But I pretty much have like 23,000 days
left.
And imagine, and that's just crazy to put that in perspective, because there's really so much that you can do. And so if I look back on my vision board or my dream casting that I do, I guess, on a daily basis, I mean, that's a lot of time. And I think we put way too much pressure on ourselves. Like, we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
27 is like in literally a week. I need to have done so much more. But in reality, I still have 23,000 days to get things done.
Yeah, it's perspective.
Yeah,
right?
It's all about perspective.
Looking at what you want to accomplish, and so there's a common phrase out there: life begins at 40. And so basically the whole premise is it doesn't matter what age you are, you can still pursue something and see what happens. Yeah. Go have a go at it, and it's not about the amount of life that you're going to live; it's the amount of life that you're going to live. Right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's not about the time, it's not about the longevity, it's not about
what
those
you do
years,
with it.
it's what you're doing.